Here with Concordia head track and field coach Matt Beisel to preview the indoor season, which actually has already started with the early bird meet, and some good things happened at that. As we record this, it's been about a week since that meet. Wanted to kind of start with how things have gone in the fall. Obviously, for the distance runners, they have their cross-country season, and then everybody else is kind of ramping up to get ready for track. But what can you say just about that whole process, and what kind of gains maybe that you saw over the fall?
Yeah, so our fall track program is going on simultaneously with cross country, and all of our throwers and vaulters and jumpers, hurdlers, multis, all those guys and gals are training 5 days a week, September, October, November, December. And so the rest of the staff, which does not include me, put together a really comprehensive progression of training that gets them set up for this first meet and beyond. And again, I don't really know much about like what was happening as it was going, because I was busy coaching distance. But overall, it seemed to be going well. We always have a good time. We work hard, have a lot of laughs, and get good work done. And it certainly paid off for the early bird meet.
Right, I was going to say, we talked about it after the early bird meet. It looked like everybody was ready to go for that. Now that you've had maybe a little bit of time to process that meet, what kind of pleased you most about the kind of the big picture things that you saw?
Yeah, I think big picture, it's about the fact that we had national qualifiers and big performances on both men's and women's sides across all event areas. And that is where we want to be. That's something I've always had as a personal goal, is to have depth across event areas where your vaulters, your throwers, your other speed and power athletes, mid and long distance, are all contributing in some significant way to the conference effort and also eventually the national effort. And to me, that was a good look at what could come.
Well, as you mentioned, you work all year long with the distance crew. Some good things happened in cross-country season. The women got to go to nationals again. How do you see some of that success carrying over to track?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be predicted potentially, as long as everyone stays healthy, which I think for the most part we are. And you can literally run down the list of our top 7 or 8 cross-country women and look at, okay, these are the people that are going to be immediate impact players at the conference and national level, both in the relays and individual events. And first and foremost, I think of Kylan Freiberg and Julie McIntyre, who had huge breakout seasons in cross country. And based on what they ran in the 6K, they should be able to potentially break the school records here at Concordia. They should be able, God willing, to make All-American and to qualify in multiple events, but also help us in relays like the distance medley relay. And then you have Keely Green, who is also a jumper, by the way, a very good one. And so she has been really successful in the middle distance events in high school, and that's really where we're going to gear her towards, so she can help again individually in things like the 600 and also in the relays like the 4x8. You look at Riley Hacker, who had a very strong cross country season, but is also very talented at track. She's our school record holder in the 1500, multi-time All-American, and she started things off with a bang by hitting the auto mark in the 1000 and is looking really good right now. So those are some things. And then you add in Keegan Beisel, Hannah Bentema, Rhea Kaczynski. All 3 of them are potential heavy hitters in a variety of distance and middle distance events. And then there's others, but those are the ones to start with. So really excited about that.
And on the women's side, we just keep talking about more conference championships. What can you say about how they've been able to repeat year after year, kind of with that target on their back?
It's honestly really interesting to me, because a lot of it does come down to the recruiting effort from our staff and who God chooses to bless us with. And we have had year after year of very strong recruits coming in. And then it's not only that, but as we were talking at convention with other coaches, I think one of the things our staff really focuses on and takes pride in is bringing in kids from a variety of places, but many small school Midwestern kids who then develop really, really well. And that sets the stage for helping us to be successful from a team perspective when this is happening across event areas.
And you bring back a lot of, on the women's side, a lot of them that have been All-Americans, so they know what it takes to compete at that level. I mean, the ones that I've counted that have multiple All-America awards: Jenna Esch, Kylan Freiberg, Riley Hacker, Jordan Kepke, Josie Pels, Amy Richard, Trinity Tulls, and Adriana Redensel was, of course, the GPAC Athlete of the Year for indoor and outdoor. Is there maybe a commonality that you see just with people that are able to compete at that high a level on your team?
Right, are you talking about running and jumping events at this point?
Yeah, I mean all of those that have been, multiple time All-Americans.
Yeah, and then don't forget people like, Abby Gerber and Cameron McCorney and Abby Wolgemuth and some of these others that are also All-Americans and national qualifiers. I mean, you look at that and you take just those women alone, and they're huge impact players, but when you team them up in the relays and individual events and both throwing events that we're really good at, and then you add in kids that have developed over the last year and were sniffing it, hitting nationals last year, who are beginning to make inroads at, I mean, you look at a Haley Miles who, just hit the auto mark and is leading the nation in the long jump. She wasn't there last year, and she's a prime example. You look at Josie Noble in the heptathlon and pentathlon indoors, who got 10th at nationals last year in the hep and helped us make All-American in the relay, but she is a phenomenal jumper in her own right, hit a B mark in the triple, and I mean, I could just go on and on about this. And so I just, you think of people like Gerber, Picorni, Wren, and then some new freshmen, Rodensel, Taylor Mose is going to be jumping for us, Haley, Kayla Kirshner and Trinity Tulls and Jordan and Jenna, who are a formidable 4x4. Josie Pels, but then also, Amira Cummings has been to national multiple times. Kayla Swoboda, Erin Boggs, Sydney Reichert had the biggest breakout of her career, and then you throw in the multis. Wow, it's a fun thing to look at and think about.
Sure, we know obviously the women have a lot of depth, and they've proven that over time. Looking at the men's side of things, you have some returning All-Americans like Austin Roselle, Darian Semino, Chris Wren, Zach Stoner.
Yeah.
And you got a chance to kind of see how things are developing at the early bird, but what can you say about the men and how they continue to kind of pile and get that depth?
We're always trying to bring the same level of guys in that we do with the women and develop them, and we've had a lot of success with that. And so our hope always on both the men's and the women's side is to set the stage for a conference championship and then to place well at nationals. And those four guys obviously are returning stars. And again, some of them relatively new, where Austin Roselle and Darian Semino came in not ranked and ended up making All-American in the shot and the discus last year. And then Chris Wren, who's a proven multi-time All-American as a fifth-year senior. You look at Zach Zoner, who is a national runner-up in the pole vault, and he just hit his biggest mark ever the other night at Early Bird and made it look easy. But then you start looking at, let's say, the sprinters and the jumpers. You have Joel Raffey, who hit the auto mark in the long jump. Joel ran the fastest 60 of his life, and he's ready to pop off in a big way. Colby Sugden has been working for years, and he is on point. He's ready to go with the 400, and I'm excited to see how that can go. You look at a couple of pole vaulters like Mason Ostermeyer, who last year missed hitting the A mark by like literally 3 times in a row and just missed hitting 15 feet as a freshman, and I think he's going to go there. You throw in, again, the middle distance and long distance runners like Calvin Rohde, who hasn't made All-American, but has been a multi-time national qualifier, and I think he's right there. But putting together a DMR, I think we can have an All-American DMR this year, where you throw in a guy like Trey Robertson, freshman, you look at Trevor Kuntzel, a sophomore who's running very well, and then throw in somebody like Colby Sugden to top it off. And I can keep listing distance guys. And so those are some of the heavy hitters, but you also have to factor in people like Miles Sad and Gage Freeze and Aaron Spivey, who were all big contributors as freshmen last year. What are they going to be able to do, and how's that going to come into play?
Well, I don't know, it's still really early. The GPAC championships for indoor will be in Yankton this coming year. How do you see kind of your team stacking up with conference competition? I know it's always very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like our women have a good shot at winning another indoor title in the conference, and again, it's never guaranteed, and some of the teams have obviously added some heavy hitters in. It looks like, just from early results, Midland and Mount Marty have brought in a number of speed and power girls who are going to help them out, and then Dort's always someone to be considered. Doan's never to be counted out. So you never know what's going to happen with that. On the guys' side, I think a top 3 finish is definitely doable, and the big question is can we be in a top 2? And being able to win, I mean, it's always a target. It's always what we're geared for. Doan's had a pretty good stretch where they've won most of the conference titles in the last few years, but they are not invincible, and we've got some guys that are really hungry for success.
And lastly, I know in cross country sometimes you have kind of a motto. It's a smaller team of people in cross country. I know it was be where your feet are. How do you get a roster of, I don't know what it is, of over 150 between men and women kind of on the same page and aiming for the same sort of thing?
I think there's consistency across our coaching staff. We meet weekly and talk about what we want to do, and again, most of us know each other really well. We've worked together for years, and I think we are all on the same page about how we talk with and mentor our athletes and get them thinking about, like, what are we doing this for? As a head coach, I am always working with the staff to produce programs of competitive greatness as one piece of what we're trying to do. And competitive greatness takes a mindset, a culture where kids want to be here, they care about how they do, they dedicate a lot of time, energy, and sacrifice to that. But as we work hard, you go to any of our practices, and as people are pushing it to the limit, there's also lots of laughter and a lot of joking around, and I think it's a great combination where people are intensely working to accomplish big things, but also having a lot of fun together. And that's something that I think we as a staff have been working towards, bringing those kind of kids in, but then continuing to develop that culture. And that's a magical combination. And then, again, I am constantly going to God and saying, Lord, just continue to bless our team with the people that are supposed to be here. Help us to build great relationships with them and between the different athletes as we seek to glorify God through all of our efforts, and also to develop servant leaders who care about other people and are ready to go out in the world and do big things. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we're trying to do. It's not just about performing at a high level.
Any other final thoughts that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I guess I would just say excited about the season. I think everybody is excited about taking a little break from school as we go into these next 3 weeks of Christmas break, but I know our kids are going to be working hard by themselves, and when we get back, we'll hit the ground running.